calligraphy. What do we get from it? How important is it? How long have you been doing it? And is it true that you still actually handwrite the laws of our nation down on, what is it?
Vellum.
On vellum. You do that, don't you?
So there are four of us, and we don't do all of them. We only do specific laws.
They're still handwritten.
They're still handwritten.
Okay,
yes.
now there's a historical reason for that, but there's also a pragmatic reason for that, isn't there?
So I started when I was 9. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I'm 45.
Right.
The laws are still written on vellum for a number of reasons. One, vellum is much more archival than paper. We know that it lasts because it's been around longer than paper. We handwrite them really, really small. So the writing is around 2 millimeters in height, and it's a ton of very complex text.
Right. Now, in calligraphy, you have instruments, various instruments in your hand. You have ink, but it's not about handwriting. It's different, isn't it?
So calligraphy and handwriting are two completely different things. One of the biggest problems is lots of people come to calligraphy thinking it's going to improve their handwriting, and it's not necessarily so. So calligraphy is an historical structure, an historical script. So we have to learn specific letter forms using specific tools, probably sometimes using quills, pointed nibs. Whereas with handwriting, you're looking at a monoline construct, and you might have learned this monoline construct as a child, or you might want to change it. So you might have learned ball and stick, and then you want to learn something like italic. But it's a very different set of rules. So learning calligraphy doesn't necessarily improve your handwriting. It just means that you are going to end up buying more tools.
But it can very much improve your well-being. Now,
Yes.
How the heck does that work?
So one of the things that we experience in calligraphy is there are a number of things that happen. One of the things we experience is this rhythmic writing structure. And by rhythmic, we also mean rhythmic in breathing as well. So when I teach, one of the scripts I teach is a script called copperplate script. And I tell people when you inhale on the upstroke and exhale on the downstroke. So if you think you're breathing slower and more rhythmic, it really sort of generates this feeling of calm, and you get slower and more peaceful.
Best ever.
I'm calm now.
So am I.
Listening to you talk.
And this is what happens when he pitches up on a radio show. It's happened before, it's happening now, and it will happen again. So what kind of courses can people join then? Sign up for?
So some of the classes I offer different historical scripts. So one of the scripts I teach is this historical script called Textualis Quadrata, which is the basis of the scripts in the Gothic period. And it's what people tend to associate with historical Bibles. So written on vellum with gold. I mean, we do gilding classes as well, which is extraordinary because you get to work with gold leaf. And, when I always say, the first time you see gold leaf laid onto vellum, it's like you get to touch a little bit of the light of God because the gold gleams so beautifully, and it's like it's shining in your soul. It's so amazing. Really, 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 really wonderful.
Wait, and when people come on these courses, how long can you do? 4 hours? Can you do a week? Or
So the classes depend on what you want to learn. So if you want to learn something like copperplate script, that's 6 3-hour sessions. They take a long time to learn. It's not something that you can just rock up and walk out after 2 hours and have the script. So some of the classes are, there are specifically calligraphy classes which deal with calligraphy. And then there's also handwriting classes where you can learn to either learn a new script, because some people are not happy with their own handwriting. They just want something different because they want to make a break from what they learned because they're not happy with it and it's not made them feel good. Or they want to improve the script that they currently have. So it's teaching them how to get back to that more structured script that they should have learned. I had somebody send me a message on Twitter saying they had their left hand tied behind their back when they were at school, and that caused them no end of problems in self-esteem as they grew up. And it was
they literally had their hand tied behind the back.
And other people replied to this and said the same thing happened to me. It was actually quite distressing reading this.
And so when people, when I used to make models as a kid or whatever, when we're doing something that we love, more when we were younger than we're older, because we tend to have wandered out of the moment, out of the now. But when you get back to do something like this, the whole of time stops, because time doesn't exist anyway. We invented it. And this really gets us back to the center of who we are. Would that be right? Or is that overstating the fact?
One of the amazing things about writing is tied to our heart chakra. When we write, something really amazing happens. So think back to the first time you were able to write your name.
Yeah.
You write it and you experience awe and joy and just magic. And so your first experience of writing is this sense of bliss, and it's tied to our heart. So as we get older, we have all this nonsense that comes into our life, and we build these walls around our emotions. And as we learn to write rhythmically and slowly, and not necessarily beautifully, just a little bit more carefully, and we become mindful of the writing, we connect to our inner child, we connect to our original self. And so the heart chakra opens up, and you feel this love and this wonder and this awe. And then you start panicking because it's breaking down walls that you've built. So many people say they watch me write and they cry because something unlocks in them. They're not writing because they're not crying because I'm writing. They're crying because it's connecting to them on a deeper level.
It's like therapy, isn't it? It's just opening them up. And that's why there's always that constant box of tissues on the therapist's table.
The Chris Evans Breakfast Show with Sky.